Hello everyone, welcome to our audiobook channel. If you enjoy this story or want to hear more exciting content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. Your feedback helps us improve and bring even more captivating stories. Enjoy listening. Chapter 1, The 10 Eggs in the Lifebound Space. Volume 1, The Extraordinary Duo. Legends speak of the times the Heavenly Dao withers away and the cycle of reincarnation hits its limit. When that time comes, the endless realms will birth 10 primordial chaos beasts, each of them possessing bodies vaster than the realms of gods. In their wake, heaven and earth will collapse, all life would end, space-time will invert, and the stars themselves perish. These primordial chaos beasts shall vanish as the old world passes. Only then will heaven and earth take shape once more. The natural order shall return, life will flourish, and a new world shall be born. Dark clouds were pressing down on Flame Yellow Science Institute as a storm raged on outside. Institute disciple Li Tianming braved the downpour on the back of his life-bound beast, a four-winged gold rock, before landing in front of a house. The door creaked open to reveal a beautiful girl in a white dress. With one hand holding up her skirt, and an umbrella in another, she crossed the rain with a warm smile to shield Li Tianming from the rain. Happy anniversary, Ching Ching. The two hurried inside, whereupon Li Tianming produced a jade hairpin which he placed into her hand. Mu Qingqing's eyes sparkled. What a pretty thing. Help me put it on. The two positioned themselves before a mirror as Li Tianming inserted the hairpin into her hair, giving her face a pinch as he did so. He missed the annoyance that briefly flickered in her eyes. Despite the rumbling storm outside, the atmosphere within the house was sweet. Tianming, I want to become a woman tonight. Mu Qingqing lowered her head as her face flushed charmingly. What do you mean? I want to give you myself. She began to remove her dress, revealing her soft skin that left one intoxicated. However, Li Tianming only felt confusion. She had always had a haughty personality, and intimacy was a difficult thing even though they were dating. In fact, she had always said that cultivation was her priority, so they had never even gone public with their relationship. Why would she suddenly take the initiative tonight? Li Tianming retreated 2 steps. Scared, she asked. Ching Ching, something's off with you today. This isn't you. They had gotten to know each other on the road to Ignis Follies. Li Tianming had saved her life then, and they had gotten together afterwards. So how should I be then? Together with you for better and worse, and live a life of mediocrity. Mu Qingqing's expression suddenly twisted into a cold sneer as she continued to remove her clothes. A thunderclap rang out as the house's roof was torn off. Lightning arced across the sky, and in that singular instant, a violet three-eyed eagle descended. Sitting atop it was a young man, within whose eyes seemed to lurk pools of lightning. Astride a violet three-eyed eagle and with the storm as a backdrop, he seemed every bit a child of lightning. Li Tianming, how dare you drug and assault Ching Ching? The young man's wrath-filled voice was like thunder, and in response, the three-eyed eagle suddenly unleashed a bolt of lightning that slammed into Li Tianming. The life-bound beast's spirit source ability left Li Tianming paralyzed as electricity coursed through his body, and he fell onto the floor with a thud. Lin Xiaoting. Li Tianming was stunned. He recognized the man. After all, Lin Xiaoting was a famous existence in the institute. His talent was shocking, and not only was he one of the Institute's Heavens Division disciples, he was even born to Ignis Follies' Lightning Manor. Among the most elite of all the children in the nation of Vermilion Bird's powerful families, he alone stood at the peak. Li Tianming and Mu Qingqing were all from Vermilion Bird's smaller cities, and had struggled long and hard to gain the right to cultivate in Flame Yellow Science Institute. Lin Xiaoting was supposed to be in a different world from them, someone they should never have interacted with. Big Brother Ting, save me. A panicked voice called out, and by the time Li Tianming raised his head, Mu Qingqing, with her clothes disheveled, was already snuggled up to Lin Xiaoting, staring at Li Tianming hatefully as she cried. Li Tianming, upon my authority as a Heaven's Division disciple, I am well within my rights to lay down punishment for your conduct that is lower than a beast. Judgment has been passed. Your four-winged goldrock shall hereby be granted the death sentence. Lin Xiaoting declared solemnly. The life-bound beast dying was the same as crippling a Beastmaster. Lin Xiaoting's intention was to sever Li Tianming's path of cultivation, and make him regress until he one day became a cripple, unable to ever stage a comeback. Dense electricity began to coil around the eagle, screeching cruelly a moment later as it launched itself at the goldrock next to it. With razor-sharp talons pinning the bird down, the eagle began to rip off the feathers of the goldrock. Every feather that was plucked out was accompanied by a small fountain of blood, as well as wretched shrieks that all stabbed at Li Tianming's heart. Midas. It was his life-bound beast's name. And at long last, Li Tianming understood what these two ruthless people were after. They intend to kill Midas and rob away the Saint Beast War Soul. 10 days ago, Li Tianming had obtained the precious Saint Beast War Soul in a secret zone. It was the posthumous remains of a mythical Saint Beast, and was worth a city. Supposedly, it had the potential to create a powerhouse that towered above the masses. Midas had already merged the one Li Tianming had found into its feathers. Only Mu Qingqing is close to me in Ignis Follies. She must have figured out I had gained something precious. So, she tossed me aside after using information about the Saint Beast War Soul to latch onto some great family's child. Paralyzed by the electricity writhing around him, he could only look on as Midas, covered in blood, had its feathers plucked away one by one. The desire and pain in its eyes as it cried at Li Tianming stabbed at his heart relentlessly. What could be more painful than one's brother being butchered alive, while one powerlessly looked on? Lin Xiaoting, Mu Qingqing. Li Tianming's blood was boiling. Tianming, submit to fate. Neither your strength nor station in life is a match for me or the War Soul. Drenched by the rain, Mu Qingqing approached Li Tianming and looked down at him from above. So, what? Now you think you're a sparrow who's flown up high and transformed into a phoenix. What else could I be? Big Brother Ting has already promised to help promote me to become a Heaven's Sanctum disciple. She looked emotionlessly at him. Li Tianming, I've come to realize since arriving at Ignis Follies that we're just so insignificant. From now on, you'll be one of the masses, and I'll be up high and above. Just take it as a sacrifice you've made in the name of love for me, all right. You won't meet a good end. Well, unfortunately that's not going to have anything to do with you. Return from whence you came, Flame Haven. I shall leave you with your life as repayment for the debt of saving my life. From today, we no longer owe each other anything. She crouched down and tidied up his disheveled hair. I sincerely thank you for your gift. I've simply been bullied too much since young. From today onward, I'll like those who've looked down on me to kneel while speaking to me. The two of them then left, along with the War Soul. This world has something called karma. You may believe you're risen high up in the ranks of society. However, there shall come a day when you reap what you've sown with interest. He spat bitterly, his maddened, bloodshot eyes fixated on their departing figures. That night, thunder rumbled and a storm poured. A lowly youth, clutching the corpse of his life-bound beast, no, his brother, left Ignis Follies and vanished into the night. He knew there would come a day when he came back and demanded payment for this debt of blood. 3 years, just you wait, Ignis Follies. 3 years quickly passed. Midas. Once again, Li Tianming woke up with a start. He regularly dreamed of his brother who had once fought side by side with him, his eyes reddening each time it crossed his mind. He had spent these 3 years in Flame Haven living a hard life to remind him of his revenge, while Mu Qingqing had indeed remained high and lofty at Ignis Follies, becoming a disciple of Flame Yellow Science Institute's core, Heaven's Sanctum. On the flip side, Li Tianming had become a laughingstock in the institute for his unsuccessful attempt to drug and violate a girl. Even after returning to Flame Haven, busybodies who didn't know better abounded, who would point and curse at his lack of conduct. To add insult to injury, even his Saint Beast War Soul was said to be obtained by Lin Xiaoting through his own efforts. Public opinion is under the control of the powerful families. No one will believe a word I say. Nothing could be more cruel than the ways of the world. It was already late night, but Li Tianming got off his bed and went to the window, staring in the direction of Ignis Follies. Suddenly activity occurred within an arcane space in his body. It's finally hatching after 3 years. Li Tianming's eyes widened. That space was called the life-bound space. It was something that existed within every person at the moment of their birth on the flame-yellow continent. After 7 days passed, a life-bound beast would hatch within. Practically every person on the continent had their very own life-bound beast. However, Li Tianming's personal space had a massive secret no one knew about. Apart from Midas, who had come into existence together with him, there were actually another 10 mysterious eggs within his life-bound space. And today, 2 of them were wobbling, with cracks even appearing on one of them. Li Tianming shifted the cracking one out of his space, placing it on his bed and quietly waited for it to hatch. The cracks began to spread on the egg, becoming denser and denser as a stifling pressure began to press down on Li Tianming. It's out. The egg split apart. Chapter 2, Eternal Infernal Phoenix. A figure appeared before Li Tianming. Alas, it wasn't the fearsome beast of his dreams. It was readily apparent that the thing crawling out of the eggshells was nothing but a little chick. A particularly yellow and tender one. Li Tianming could only think of one way to describe it: fluffy, and the perfect main dish for a hearty breakfast. In fact, the only thing protecting it right now was that it wasn't morning yet. How does a chick like you even release the aura of a fearsome beast? Li Tianming could already feel a headache oncoming. Huh? Who's the chick here? Don't look down on me, you nugget. I'm gonna beat your ass. The little chick stared fiercely at Li Tianming, as if it was trying to kill Li Tianming with its eyes. A newborn chick that threatened his master? That was a novelty, all right. Life-bound beasts could communicate telepathically with their Beastmaster, but not many could talk with the exception of parrot types. Perhaps this chick was similar to those parrot-type beasts, which was why it could speak. Li Tianming inspected the chick's eyes closely, where he could see a pinprick of light, a star. When a life-bound beast is born, the number of stars determine their tier, Li Tianming murmured. Li Tianming could still remember that Midas had 5 stars when it first hatched, marking it as a rare 5-star life-bound beast in Flame Haven. A life-bound beast's tier directly determined the potential of the beast, as well as the limits of the Beastmaster's cultivation. A 5-star life-bound beast was enough for Li Tianming to be Flamahaven's top genius in the past 300 years. This chick had only a single star, suggesting that it was only a miserable 1-star beast. Wait. As Li Tianming stared into the star spark, he seemed to see the star collapse and scatter before him. Li Tianming couldn't tell if it was just an illusion or reality. Tens. Hundreds. Thousands. Tens of thousands as it continued to grow even further. At long last, Li Tianming saw that single star expanding into a massive starfield. Inside this starfield, countless stars burned. Despite seeming infinitely far apart, their radiance merged and blinded Li Tianming. What was that? That's billions of star sparks. He could feel his brain exploding, as his vision faded and he felt himself seemingly sucked into the distant star field. Within the endless void, there was nothing but an infinite number of stars burning like massive fireballs. The next thing he knew, Li Tianming heard an earth-shattering cry from a bird. He examined the direction of the sound, where a ball of flame was bearing down from the other side of the starfield. Magnificent wings extended from the field of flames, its radiance overwhelming all the other stars around it. As it approached, Li Tianming was shocked to find that it was just as big as the starfield. Every stream of fire that flowed across its body was composed of billions of stars. It was an eternal phoenix. Everywhere it went, countless stars would be yanked from their orbits, gathered into a burning stream that was swallowed by the creature shortly afterwards. It was like the phoenix was just slurping some noodles, except that each strand was made up of billions of stars, subsumed into its body with an effortless slurp. It was an unfathomable sight for Li Tianming. He continued to follow that eternal phoenix as it devoured everything in its path, without any care as to whether it had swallowed any life-bearing sons. Until one day, a huge dark hand appeared. The creature was clearly scared of this hand. It screamed in panic and tried to flee from the hand. What kind of existence was it that would terrify even the eternal phoenix? As the phoenix tried to flee, it even resorted to consuming its own flames, becoming tinier and tinier. Each time the hand landed, thousands of sparks flew out, each birthing new stars. Henceforth and forevermore, I am the master of all primordial chaos and reincarnation. The voice of the hand rumbled through the starfield, reducing everything in the realm to an endless base state of terror. Li Tianming could sense the eternal phoenix's fear as it slowly spread to his body like a poison. At last, the phoenix could no longer maintain its flight and tumbled from the stars. Just as its life was about to come to an end, it suddenly seemed to spot Li Tianming. "What on earth are you?" Li Tianming barely noticed how hoarse his voice was, such was his fear. Time ground to a halt as the phoenix stared at him quietly. "I am, the eternal infernal phoenix." As his vision dissolved into a blur, Li Tianming could feel his face hurting as he finally found himself back in his own room. The little chick had made its way up his shoulder without him realizing, and was now pecking at his face. "You, an eternal infernal phoenix." Li Tianming grabbed it by the wings and dangled it in front of him, while still trying to calm down from all he had seen just now. The single star was still in its eyes, but it was no longer expanding into a starfield. "Yeah, pretty badass eh?" The little chick snapped back as it struggled to escape Li Tianming's grasp. "And what exactly is an eternal infernal phoenix?" Li Tianming questioned. "One of the primordial chaos beasts." "And I too wish I knew." "Then, what do you even know?" "Give me a break, I just hatched and the first thing I see is that stupid face of yours. What do you reckon I know?" Getting insulted by a little chick sure didn't feel good. Of course Li Tianming knew better than anyone else that this little chick was no ordinary life-bound beast. Likely, the same could be said about the other 9 eggs. What he had just seen was just way too extraordinary. A beast that snacked on suns, the hand that contained the entire universe within its grasp, and the endless field of stars. And such a creature was his life-bound beast? Li Tianming could already sense his spirit burn with passion. "Will you do symbiotic cultivation with me?" he asked the little chick. "Of course, training a little sheikling like you is easy peasy." The little chick wasn't even trying to hide its cockiness. "Let's be clear, you're the chick here. Lucky you huh, dual cultivating with a chick for free." The little chick snorted vulgarly. One of those chicks was not the same as the others. As the little chick relocated itself onto his head, Li Tianming was thrilled by the prospect of cultivating with a primordial chaos beast. Back in ancient days, the ancestors invented symbiotic cultivation. A channel for cultivation was formed between man and life-bound beast, giving rise to the Beastmasters. Through symbiotic cultivation, man and beasts shared their blood veins and their wisdom, forming a dynamic duo of great power. The first stage of cultivation was the beast vein stage. Both Beastmasters and life-bound beasts had 9 beast veins each, and cultivation in the beast vein stage required them to pair and connect them together. Each connected set of beast veins would strengthen the blood connection between the two. After that, special methods could be used to convert the spiritual energy of heaven and earth into beast ki, which would be stored in the beast vein. Beastmasters and life-bound beasts shared their beast ki, thereby allowing power to be shared between the pair. Through symbiotic training, the latent power in the beast's blood veins would strengthen the master's body, while the latent power from the Beastmaster's blood veins would enhance the beast's intelligence. Ever since Midas died, I lost all my beast ki, and all my beast veins wasted away as well. Without a life-bound beast, my journey as a Beastmaster was supposed to be over. Whatever this eternal infernal phoenix is, be it a primordial chaos beast or what, at least it'll allow me to cultivate once again. Naturally, Li Tianming had never heard of the legends of the primordial chaos beasts before. Right before he was sabotaged by Lin Xiaoting and Mu Qingqing, he had connected all 9 pairs of beast veins with Midas, completing all 9 levels of the beast vein stage, and had even made a breakthrough to the spirit source stage. Since my life-bound beast has changed, I have to reconnect all the beast veins. That's basically starting over from scratch. The first step of the beast vein stage was to figure out the location of the beast veins on both parties. As Li Tianming tried to figure out where the beast vein of the little chick was, he could feel the little chick doing the same for him. Once their first beast veins were successfully connected together, they would reach the first level of the beast vein stage. How could such a tiny chick have such a thick beast vein? Li Tianming exclaimed. Inside that tiny body of the chick, each of the beast veins was like a dragon unto itself, terrifying yet magnificent. It was hard to imagine what kind of fearsome beast these beast veins belonged to. Placed side by side, Li Tianming's beast veins seemed like little worms. What a rookie, look at these pathetic beast veins, clearly a lack of masculine strength. And look at mine. Thicker. Longer. More perfect than yours. The chick was clearly despising him. But why did that sound so weird? Let's see if you can still brag later. Don't forget your beast veins will eventually become mine too. Li Tianming returned the insult. A short while later, their beast veins started connecting with each other. While the chick's beast vein might be way thicker, it didn't make the connecting process any more difficult since it was more of some kind of activation instead of a true physical connection. As long as the two could sense each other, the two beast veins would eventually merge and form a complete circulation. Li Tianming was no beginner, but only when the first beast vein connected did he realize how much the blood of the eternal infernal phoenix could do for his body. No way. Once their beast veins were connected, it was akin to a dragon being connected to a centipede. Li Tianming could feel his very own beast veins turning into a dragon as well. As the dragon roared in his body, he could clearly feel the beast's blood traveling through his torso, transforming every inch of his body. For a moment, it even made him feel like an eternal infernal phoenix itself. His four-winged gold rock had transformed his body before too, but nowhere near to this extent. This must be the power of a real primordial chaos beast. Li Tianming knew this was a huge opportunity for him. It was clear that Li Tianming was a changed man as his eyes shone. Once his beast vein grew to the size of the chick's, the process of connection would be complete, as was their conquest of the first level of the beast vein stage. The next step was to make use of cultivation techniques to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth into their beast veins as beast ki. The quality of the beast ki would be decided by factors such as the quality of the technique and the blood of the life-bound beast. Li Tianming used the best technique available in Flame Haven, the dark gold technique, to create dark gold beast ki. Just as he was preparing the dark gold technique, the chick snapped, "What the hell are you doing? What kind of garbage is this? What do you mean?" Li Tianming was clearly confused, because this garbage was the best technique in Flame Haven. "Just shut up and let me lead the cultivation. We'll do it my way, the eternal infernal codex way." "What?" Before Li Tianming could even react, something unimaginable happened. A life-bound beast leading the cultivation, and with its own cultivation technique. But the moment the eternal infernal codex started running, he was clear that the dark gold technique was indeed only describable as garbage. After not cultivating for 3 entire years, the thrill of being able to cultivate again got Li Tianming's spirit burning. Before he knew it, an entire night had passed, one in which Li Tianming and his little chick both made a breakthrough to the third level of the beast vein stage. It was true that Li Tianming had some foundations. Still, such speed was unheard of in the entire nation. Even his body became an eternal infernal body, somewhat similar to the little chick. Such a body possessed immense strength and speed, let alone crazy potential. This beast key from the third level of the beast vein stage, it feels even stronger than the beast key I had at the fifth level with the dark gold technique. As the eternal infernal beast key coursed through his three beast veins, Li Tianming imagined lava flowing through his body. The beast key had turned him into a volcano that was ready to erupt any moment. There's still 9 other eggs in my life-bound space, and one of them is already showing signs of hatching, just that there's no cracks yet. What kind of primordial chaos beast will it be next time? Li Tianming was filled with anticipation on what the next egg, as well as the rest, could possibly offer him. Could it be, by any chance, that he had obtained all 10 primordial chaos beasts as his life-bound beasts? I once thought that my dream was over, that I could never make a comeback. Even with my mother encouraging me every day, I couldn't see any hope. But the heavens have yet to give up on me, Li Tianming. Lin Xiaoting, Mu Qing Qing, just you wait, I will return. I will get back everything that you have taken away from me. And of course, your life as well. Li Tianming stared out of the window, mapping out everything he wanted to do in the future. Most importantly, I can't let my mother get hurt any further. His mother, Wei Jing, had already been living a turbulent life, and his expulsion from the Flame Yellow Science Institute only made matters worse. Throughout these 3 years, all of her suffering and helplessness had been deeply engraved in his mind. Even after the symbiotic cultivation came to an end and the little chick had already fallen asleep, Li Tianming was still cultivating. It was his mother's birthday today. How happy will she be if she sees me pick myself back up, and that I have a future again. The power to cultivate again also means I can collect more clear spirit grass, which should prolong her life further. As the family member that brought him up for the past 20 years, all Li Tianming asked for was to see her joyous face. However, at this moment, a commotion broke out outside of their house. It seemed that someone had just broken into their home. Wei Jing, Li Tianming, open up. We have a big gift for you. Chapter 3, If you meet the wrong person, your life shall be ruined. Li Tianming's father, Li Yanfen, was Flamahaven's governor, while his mother, Wei Jing, was the lady governor. Both mother and son had resided in the Rain Appreciating Pavilion for years. It was the best residence in the governor's manor, a sign of Wei Jing's position in the manor once upon a time. Through the grapevine, Li Tianming had heard that Wei Jing had had both talent and skill in her younger years, and had even been a country toppling beauty. She had been very impressive then, and had married his father in the end. However, after Wei Jing gave birth to Li Tianming, she contracted some strange illness. It had accelerated the aging of her and her life-bound beast. Today, she was only 40, but her age was belied by a head full of white hair and looked like she was at death's door. Only her face's outline gave the barest of hints of the beauty she used to be. Like her son, her life-bound beast was also a 4-winged gold rock, which was currently sprawled on the ground. Nearly all of its feathers had dropped off, and its movements were sluggish. Movement sometimes wasn't even possible. It was rare for a master to get sick along with their beast. Supposedly, she had traveled far and wide, but she had never found a cure. At this rate, she would pass from old age within half a year. They mostly stayed in the Rain Appreciating Pavilion and never went out, rarely meeting anyone. That was why it was unexpected that someone would barge in on Wei Jing's birthday. 2 women walked in. One was in a red dress, looking every bit a graceful and refined madam, if not for her long and narrow eyes, which hinted at her sinister nature. The other was a young girl dressed like a martial artist. Her body was well built and overflowing with heroic spirit. Evidently, she was born into a family of warriors, her eyes filled with the loftiness that only came from having a high status. Or to put it more bluntly, it was arrogance. Third sister, Suejiao. Wei Jing came out. That madam was Li Yanfan's third wife, called Madame Huang. Men in Vermilion Bird were allowed up to 3 wives and 4 concubines. As a wife, Madame Huang had a high status in the manor, and her family was also of great importance in Flame Haven. The young girl by her side was her daughter, Li Suejiao, Li Tianming's younger half-sister. Her talent wasn't bad, and she had experienced a meteoric rise in Flame Haven in the last 3 years. "Big sister, are you well?" Madame Huang immediately plastered on a smile upon seeing them as she brought her daughter in. How well could she be with one foot in the grave? Li Suejiao's eyes lit up with amusement as she couldn't resist mumbling. "That's impolite." Madame Huang gave a stern glare, but didn't scold her. Instead, she continued to smile. "I heard today was Big Sister's birthday. Milord specially ordered a present. He's a little busy today as he has to receive some guests, so he told me to come in his stead." Li Suejiao almost snickered out loud, but managed to hold it back. "What is it?" Wei Jing was slightly confused. "Take a look." Madame Huang handed over a document, holding back her sniggers as she did so. Wei Jing's hand was trembling slightly as she opened the document. At a glance, it was obviously written by Li Yanfan from the vigorous calligraphy. Just a brief overview left Wei Jing's eyes red and unable to even stand properly. It was only with Li Tianming's support that she could sit. Li Tianming took a look as well. While the tone was polite and it kept beating around the bush, the main message was clear: this was a divorce letter. He spoke of how grateful he was for Wei Jing's company these years as well as her contributions to the family, before waxing eloquence for a while. Finally, he invited Wei Jing to leave the manor. It wasn't just a removal of her role as the main wife, but her identity as the governor mistress as well. In summary, she was being evicted. Then, it mentioned Li Tianming. The words were curt, telling her to bring him along as well, clearly removing his status as the son of the first wife. It had to be mentioned that Li Tianming had always been the future Flame Haven governor. This was a major event for Flame Haven, but here it was just a side note. However, this showed how merciless Li Yanfan was. If this had happened 3 years ago, it would have caused big waves. Now, however, it was an insignificant thing. After all, the only thing worth noting about Li Tianming these days was how he had chased after Mu Qingqing and failed, before resorting to drugs. Li Tianming had always known the world was filled with those who liked to kick others while they were down. He had also known Li Yanfan was heartless. However, he had never drawn a conclusion that it would be his father who kicked him while he was down in the end. In the 3 years he had returned, Li Yanfan hadn't visited often, but he would at least come on his mother's birthdays. Li Tianming and his father's relationship had been like water and fire since he was young, as the man had never shown much concern over his sickly mother. It had worsened since his return from Ignis Polly's, where they hadn't even exchanged 3 sentences. These 3 years, that man's gaze at him had gone from his usual disappointment, to naked contempt, and then finally indifference. When he came to visit during his mother's birthday last year, he had just taken a brief glance before hurriedly taking his leave. To be honest, it wouldn't be a stretch to assume if he was just checking if she had died yet. This pitiful woman was still waiting for Li Yanfan to play his part in the relationship. Li Tianming couldn't even begin to calculate just how much Wei Jing had paid for the sake of this relationship. For her to be repaid with this ending would make anyone furious. If you meet the wrong person, your life shall be ruined. Madame Huang and Li Suejiao could no longer hold it back when they saw Li Tianming and Wei Jing's expressions. Li Suejiao clutched onto Madame Huang's arm, no longer able to hold back her laughter. Seriously, Dad always looks so old-fashioned, but he sends out quite the exciting birthday presents. Big sister, don't begrudge milord. This is all absolutely, positively for the sake of you and Tianming. After all, you aren't doing all too well now, which people can easily use as grounds to criticize the old master. Even the brave knows when to retreat. Big sister understands that's a virtue, right? Madame Huang retracted her laughter to say seriously. Milord has also made some plans. He took the effort to prepare these spirit gems. These are valuables only Beastmasters can use, each one worth many a gold piece. It's enough to set you up for life. She took out a bag and casually tossed it to Wei Jing the way one would give a beggar alms. I really am jealous of you. I couldn't get that many spirit gems even if I begged for it, Li Suejiao said enviously. Petty people really were something else. These two and their jibes would aggravate anyone to their deaths. Li Tianming assumed his mother was suffering and wouldn't be able to endure it, but she unexpectedly became incredibly calm after the initial moments of despondency. It seemed that she had come to some sort of understanding. In fact, this does have its positives. The two of us no longer owe each other anything, she muttered, shaking her head. Big sister, if it really is too hard, feel free to cry. In fact, I'll even lend you my shoulder. Madame Huang covered her mouth to hide her twitching mouth. Li Tianming was furious at this point. I think it's about time for you two to scram, no. Big brother Tianming, how could you say that? Know why it's us two here to notify you? Dad has already promised that rain appreciating pavilion is ours from now on. One divorced and one crippled, shouldn't you two be the ones scramming? Lu Suejiao crossed her arms, her eyes alight with mockery. Suejiao is correct. Big sister, I won't make things difficult on account of our years of sisterhood. I'll give you half an hour to pack up. Madame Huang quirked an eyebrow, giggling. Li Tianming himself was almost laughing at this point. All these people really were more merciless than the last one. If not for his fortuitous opportunity, this really would be their end. However, he refused to accept this. Why should his mother have to suffer such unfair treatment? Even if they must leave, they would do it grandly. Not like some homeless dogs kicked out. Just as he decided to confront Li Yanfen, his mother, who had always understood him, grabbed his arm. The strength her delicate body exerted was a testament to her will. We leave, Tianming. There's nothing much to be fond about here. When we're down, there's no need to pointlessly struggle. When you make your comeback, we shall return for our lost face. These simple words rocked Li Tianming to his core. After all, he was aware that his mother had never been any simple person. If not for her strange illness, this Madame Huang wouldn't be there smiling so complacently. Come back. Lay off the jokes. Your son's life-bound beast life is dead, and from his shameless actions no less. If the laughingstock of Flame Haven could make a comeback, well, that'll be the day pigs climb trees. Li Suejiao snorted. Challenge accepted. I suppose I have no choice but to send you up a tree today then. Li Tianming's eyes glinted with fury as they stared at her. A challenge, big brother Tianming? I don't hold back against cripples, you know. Li Suejiao's smile left her face as it turned frosty. Still remember? That time you got kidnapped when you ran off to play, it was me who trailed them for 3 days and 3 nights, leaving behind clues that led to your eventual rescue. If not for that, you'll already be a lonely corpse in some dark, lonely corner. And yet, Li Tianming's eyes narrowed. Some people really didn't know gratitude. She curled her lips. That doesn't change what a joke this is, Tianming. That's why I regret saving you. I'm a kind, magnanimous, elder brother. We have 3 trees here. I'll let you choose which one you want to have fond memories of when you live here. The orange, locust, or parasol tree. Chapter 4, The Blazing Palm That Sent a Pig Up the Tree. As expected of Li Yanfan's daughter, Li Suejiao had shown tremendous improvement over the past 3 years, having reached 5th level beast vein at the mere age of 15. Her lifebound beast, a flaming hawk, was a fire-type avian lifebound beast. Li Suejiao called out her flaming hawk from her lifebound space, the most ideal place for a lifebound beast's cultivation, before Li Tianming could complete his taunt. The blazing great bird hovered right above Li Suejiao. Fiery sparks danced off its feathers, its gaze sharp and piercing as it surveyed the area. Its most prominent feature was undoubtedly its talons, the crimson flame burning at the razor-sharp tips reminiscent of a poison-coated dagger. Big brother Tianming, since you no longer possess a life-bound beast, why not I stand aside while Huoling gives you a light roasting? Li Suejiao was clearly amused. Who told you that I don't have a life-bound beast? Li Tianming strode to his room, where the chick was still asleep. Who are you trying to fool? Everyone knows your Midas had all its feathers plucked out and died a miserable death. Li Tianming simply ignored her as he entered the room and brought out the chick, which was still in deep slumber. It stirred as he picked it up by the legs. Hey! I was having fun with my 3,000 hair mets, how dare you disturb me? The eternal infernal phoenix clearly wasn't happy with being dangled by the legs. As for Li Suejiao, she had already burst into laughter the moment she saw the chick. Big brother Tianming, is this some sort of joke? I bet you'd make a great comedian. Did you get this chicken through the use of a blood pact? A blood pact was the process whereby a Beastmaster that had previously lost his life-bound beast could find a possible replacement. It involved the use of a special sacrificial technique where the Beastmaster would forcefully inject their own blood into a newborn wild beast to convert it into their life-bound beast. These wild beasts were usually found in the wilderness, did not belong to any master and were extremely aggressive, usually attacking anything in its sight. The chick was still struggling in Li Tianming's hands until it saw the flaming hawk. Damn, what a hot chick. Do you want to have my babies? The chick didn't hesitate to verbalize its vulgar intentions. Not only do you have a chicken as your life-bound beast, but it's also just as perverted as you. Li Suejiao was scornful. Huoling, devour it. Whoosh. The flaming hawk turned into a crimson blur, swooping down on the little chick, who whooped in delight. This must be love at first sight. Flapping its tiny wings, the little chick charged towards the hawk, despite the painfully obvious difference in size. Don't make a fool of yourself, your size simply can't compete. Li Tianming felt a slight headache at the chick's bold moves, but to be honest, he couldn't even muster up an ounce of worry. The chick was just too strong, after all. Try to survive this, Tianming. Li Suejiao had also made her move. Based on her movements, it was likely that she was about to use blazing palm. Flames erupted from her hands, coating her palm with a visceral energy gathered from her crimson beast ki. Renowned as a fearsome move, the blazing palm's crackling fire was capable of consuming its victims with ease. More importantly, the impact from the palm was known to shatter every single bone. With a merciless glint in her eyes, Li Suejiao directed the palm straight towards Li Tianming's chest. Pow! To her surprise, Li Tianming didn't budge an inch, taking the full might of her attack squarely on his chest. It was a direct hit, one that could very well injure or even shatter his internal organs. The loud, solid thump that followed was definitely enough to pronounce him dead on the spot. Having killed her brother, Li Suejiao started to panic. Suejiao, are you on a diet? An indifferent smile floated onto Li Tianming's face. Shocked, Li Suejiao gawked at Li Tianming's perfectly unharmed chest. How was that possible? Unfortunately for her, Li Tianming gained complete fire immunity. This was one of the many boons he gained from bonding with the eternal infernal phoenix. His eternal infernal beast ki was already the hottest type of magma in existence. Fire could do nothing to him at all. Behold! This is the real blazing palm. Li Tianming took advantage of Li Suejiao's panic and swiftly made his move, way quicker than what she had previously achieved. Before Li Suejiao could react, a blazing palm had already made its way towards her face. Pow! Ahh! A loud and crisp clap echoed out into the surroundings, which was swiftly followed by a blood-curdling shriek. The terrifying power of the eternal infernal beast key meant that this was no normal slap. Her face blackened instantly, turned into charred ruins, as her body soared through the air and slammed into the tallest parasol tree in the garden. Broken teeth, coagulated blood, and saliva splattered onto the ground moments later, a testament to the sheer force behind that casual slap. Bam! Gravity woke up a few seconds later, pulling her back down onto the ground with a cruel jerk. Her body nearly came apart from the fall, and a crippling pain shot up her spine. Aren't you in 5th level beast vein? Surely you can do much better than this. Shall we move on to round 2? No. Please big brother Tianming, I made a mistake, no please. Li Suejiao screamed in terror, but that didn't dissuade Li Tianming from sending another punch to her face. Pow! Ah! She shrieked even louder, as more teeth flew out of her mouth. Once again, she was sent up the tree, except only this time, she got caught in its branches. There wasn't an inch of her skin that wasn't scratched and torn up by the branches, and tears began to stream down her ruined cheeks. The way she shrieked sounded really like a pig, Li Tianming mused. 100 points for this pirouetting pig, I'd say. And it landed on the tree perfectly too. Li Tianming remarked, clapping slowly as he marveled at his work. He grinned as he saw his mother's relieved smile. For Wei Jing, the letter of divorce meant nothing to her compared to seeing her son make a comeback. Well done, my son. She gave him a thumbs up, just as how she always used to. Well, I have good genes. Li Tianming returned the praise. At that very instant, she seemed to appear young once more, the smile on her face hinting at her former beauty. It was at this moment that Madame Huang let out a shriek. Help! Li Tianming has committed murder. Chapter 5, Destination, Heaven's Sanctum. Madame Huang fell into shock at this sight. Furthermore, Li Suejiao was still up the tree. Of Li Yanfan's wives and concubines, Madame Huang was the only one who didn't have much in the way of cultivation, so she could only stay at the base of the tree and babble madly, collapsing to the ground in the process. Li Tianming. You're not the heir anymore. Since you touched my daughter, you will have an unpleasant death. Her mind, however, was a complete blank. Her understanding of the martial Dao may be lacking, but everyone knew that Li Tianming was crippled. How did this happen? Shut it! Li Tianming kicked Madame Huang, who had crawled over, sending her flying with a good kick to her face. After rolling several times, her face planted itself into a stone, leaving it bloody and bruised. One more sound, and I'll pluck out your tongue. Li Tianming barked. Madame Huang whimpered, before falling into a submissive silence. Fortunately, Rain Appreciating Pavilion didn't have people in the area, or she would definitely have attracted quite a bit of attention. The mother-daughter pair had been slapped senseless by Li Tianming, especially Li Suejiao. She was still hanging from the tree, half her face completely ruined. A pig would probably win more beauty pageants than her from now on. The true eye-opener, however, came from the little yellow chick, who was busy tearing the flaming hawk a new one. Bloody holes continued to pop up as the chick darted around gracefully, pecking away with wanton abandon. Hey beautiful, no need to struggle, no one's going to save you, the little chick pressed the giant flaming hawk down on the ground, smiling wickedly. My favor is your privilege. The yellow little chick was on the verge of pouncing, sending Li Tianming into a state of utter bewilderment. Where in blazes did this little pipsqueak have the equipment to handle the flaming hawk? The little fellow paused, as it felt something unwelcome. Ah! It's male. Abort mission. Damn it, why did you dress up so sluttily? The chick felt like its world was collapsing around it. Utterly humiliated beyond all belief, it began to violently wail on the hawk. I think that's enough, brother, Li Tianming hurriedly pulled it away. You cross-dressing nugget, don't let me see you again, the little chick spat, kicking up some dirt onto the motionless bird as it turned away. Even Wei Jing was snorting in laughter. Somehow, today was both her saddest and her happiest day. Li Tianming. I didn't expect you to have recovered. I won't forget this, and I'll definitely pay you back 100-fold. Li Suejiao finally jumped off the tree, before applying some medicine on her face. I won't be leaving Flame Haven. Come find me anytime. But don't expect the other half of your face to survive the encounter. Li Suejiao frowned. You won't be leaving Flame Haven. Problem. To Li Tianming, he still had something important to accomplish here. Do you know why Dad chose to depose you and divorce your mother? Li Suejiao said malevolently. I'm listening. Dad wants to marry a woman, and make her the first wife? Obviously, your mother is in the way. Li Suejiao crowed. In Vermilion Bird, men who were not the king could take 3 wives and 4 concubines. Of the 3 wives, one would be the first while the other 2 would be of equal standing. Li Yanfen had long hit the quota. He had to divorce someone if he wanted a new wife, especially in this case where he wanted a new first wife. Can he even handle it at his advanced age? Li Tianming snorted coldly. You'll definitely be happy to hear who's marrying in. Just say it. The woman is called Lu Cheng. She's in her 20s, not much older than you. She's a famous beauty, but most importantly, she's of the Lightning Manor. Do you still think Flame Haven will have space for you after this? Lightning Manor. Li Tianming was inflamed once again. Lin Xiaoting, who had killed Midas and robbed the Saint Beast Warsowl from him, was a direct descendant of the Lightning Manor. The Lightning Manor was the most powerful clan in Vermilion Bird. A hegemon of the nation, they had innumerable powerhouses, controlling almost half of the nation's interests. Dad will be hosting a grand wedding in 10 days' time. If you don't scurry away, you will die if people from the Lightning Manor spots you. Isn't 10 days later when the Flame Yellow Science Institute's election is happening? Li Tianming frowned. That was the real reason he had to stay here. He had to return to the institute. It may have been where he had fallen from grace, but it was also the holy land for all young Beastmasters. Those 2 people were still there till this day. If he wanted vengeance, he had to return there in an open and above-board manner with the identity of an institute disciple. Flame Haven would host a selection to enter the Flame Yellow Science Institute every 4 years, and Li Tianming had been the one who had succeeded 4 years ago. And this time, he wanted the slot again. That way, he could grandly leave Flame Haven along with his mother. After all, Li Yanfen would be forced to send them off, and not kick them out like homeless dogs. That's right. Dad intends to use the selection to liven up the wedding. After all, it'll be his son who earns the qualification if all goes well. She didn't sound quite happy at this. This son wasn't referring to Li Tianming, but Li Yanfen's son through his second wife and Li Tianming's second brother, Li Zifeng. He was Li Tianming's junior by 3 years, and wasn't old enough to be involved in the previous selection. Li Zifeng had risen rapidly in the 3 years when Li Tianming was crippled, leaving the latter all but forgotten by Flammehaven citizens. His current age and stage was roughly as Li Tianming's was when he obtained the institute slot. Li Tianming had brought shame to the city, but Li Zifeng had brought back hope. After all, as one of the more remote cities, Flammehaven citizens hoped that their local geniuses could head to the institute and challenge those chosen from Vermilion Bird's core. I understand. It seemed that he would definitely have to make a trip for this wedding. Li Suejiao was telling him all this to bait him into going there to make a fool of himself, thereby accomplishing her revenge. However, there were some things you had to do yourself. This included that woman from Lightning Manor and his heartless father. He had lost everything before, so he needed courage to walk on this path again and seize everything back. Actually, there was also something else important. Li Tianming had once asked Wei Jing when he was 16 if there was any way to treat her strange illness, and she had responded with a place, the Heaven Sanctum of Flame Yellow Science Institute. She had never elaborated on the reason why she could be treated there. However, Li Tianming had never concerned himself with the details. The only thing he needed to know was that he had to join the institute, and strive for its core, Heaven Sanctum. 3 years ago, his talent was close to sufficient for entry. It had even become a certainty after obtaining the Saint Beast War Soul, where he was close to curing his mother and extending her life. But Lin Xiaoting and Mu Qingqing had crushed that spark of hope. Now, he was already 20 and Wei Jing didn't have many days left in her. This selection was his final chance. If he missed it, he could only watch her pass away helplessly. Then, let's start from the institute selection, and his wedding. After keeping a low profile for 3 years, who wouldn't want to return to their battlefield and show that, no, they hadn't lost just yet? Let's go. Wei Jing didn't have anything she wanted to keep. Li Tianming used his arm to support her. All right, mother. Keep the spirit gems, Wei Jing suddenly said, after taking 2 steps. Li Tianming felt some resistance to that mentally. He wasn't particularly fond of accepting this last boon from Li Yanfen, because that was a sort of humiliation. My child, a man must know flexibility. If there are benefits right in front of you, just take it. The only thing people will remember is that moment when you truly retrieve your dignity. Don't concern yourself with losing a few bits of pride here and there, Wei Jing said gently. Yes, mother. Li Tianming picked up the gems. I'm peckish. The little chick suddenly gave him a pitiful look, though it was admittedly rather cute. What do you even eat, worms? Today onward, he'll need to set aside time for a chick's feeding time. No, these. The little chick pointed at the spirit jades, drooling. Yeah, no. Stick to your worms. Li Tianming snorted disdainfully. We can make a breakthrough if we finish those, the little chick said coolly, placing its wings on its hips. Eldest brother chicken, it was just a jest, a jest. Naturally, all this is my birthday present to you. Happy birthday. Li Tianming hurriedly handed it the goods. If the little chick really could break through just by eating spirit jades, he just struck it big. Chapter 6, The Spirit Gem Gobbling Chick. Fortunately for Li Tianming, he still owned other properties in Flame Haven, which meant that they still had a place to live in despite their eviction. While it was just a small dilapidated courtyard, Li Tianming knew that the situation was only temporary. Once he had obtained the Flame Yellow Order, which would grant him entry into the Flame Yellow Science Institute, he would leave Flame Haven for good. Night fell. Piled high in front of Li Tianming and his little chick was a stack of spirit gems. When the little chick first mentioned that it could eat such gems, he didn't believe it. What are these? The little chick remarked as it curiously pointed at the patterns on the spirit gems. These are heavenly patterns, Li Tianming replied. Each spirit gem had thin red veins running across its surface. These veins were known as heavenly patterns because they could never be removed. Spirit ores were ores nurtured with the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, their formation a result of infusing these miraculous energies over millennia. Only with heavenly patterns could they then be called spirit ores. They had a myriad of amazing uses such as crafting weapons. Spirit gems were considered a subset of spirit ore, as it too had been infused with spiritual energies which had great benefits to both beastmasters and life-bound beasts. Therefore, spirit gems were often used as a kind of currency among beastmasters, with the value of each spirit gem easily surpassing that of an ordinary jewel. There were many different kinds of spirit gems being circulated in the market. Among them, crimson gems infused with fire-type spiritual energy were the most common in vermilion bird. However, there were also golden gems, thunder gems, and many others that were being exchanged in the market. These gems could be used to purchase all sorts of cultivation-related resources. Legend had it that these heavenly patterns were natural expressions of divine powers, and that hidden within these patterns were the secrets to unlocking the origins of these divine powers. Therefore, most higher-level Beastmasters would choose to study these patterns when attempting to make a breakthrough, hoping to grasp these divine powers. For these reasons, the heavenly patterns were also known as the patterns of heaven's will. There are 9 different colors to the heavenly patterns, the 9 being red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, black, and white. Out of the 9, red patterns are lowest in quality, while the white ones are the highest, Li Tianming explained. Spirit ores with white patterns are definitely unprecedented treasures, and rumor has it that their heavenly patterns are some of the most complicated things ever seen. In his lifetime, Li Tianming had only ever seen spirit ores with red, orange, or yellow patterns. The ores that lay in front of him were red, widely regarded as the most ordinary sort. That said, they were still pretty helpful for his current level of cultivation. The spiritual energy released from these spirit gems would undoubtedly allow him to form beast ki at a much faster pace. Heavenly patterns. Who cares, they are merely snacks to me, the little chick mumbled as it jumped onto the table, ready to begin his feast. There were about 300 crimson gems. Are you sure these are edible? While it was true that spirit gems aided cultivation, one had to first release the spiritual energy from the gems before refining and absorbing it. Eating them, however. Watch and learn. To Li Tianming's shock, the little chick started to gobble down the gems one after another, like they were grapes. Not bad, chewy too. Having swallowed more than 10 of the fire-type spiritual energy-infused gems in a row, small flames began to manifest around the little chick, its face glowing like a drunkard. It even let rip a long satisfying burp. Damn, you're really going to eat those stones? Aren't you afraid of constipation? Li Tianming stared in awe. What a bumpkin! I can digest this within minutes. The excess of spiritual energy in the little chick made it let out a burp, sending visible waves of heat through the air. At the same time, the flames already around it grew rapidly. It had completed its evolution, into a burning chicken. Although it took Li Tianming some time to react, he soon remembered that the little chick was still a primordial chaos beast. All things considered, eating some spirit gems raw shouldn't have come as a surprise. You should try one too, they do taste pretty good. Real men like us should appreciate delicacies like these. Hiding its hunger under a show of generosity, the little chick picked up a gem with its beak, waddling over to Li Tianming to drop on his palm. Li Tianming sank into deep contemplation at that sight. The symbiotic cultivation had granted him the eternal infernal body. Logically speaking, if the little chick was able to swallow it whole to absorb the spiritual energy, then as the Beastmaster, he should be capable of it as well. The burning sensation that followed as the crimson gem slid down his throat reminded him of strong alcohol. The pain he'd associated with them, however, was a non-factor, and the gem slid into his stomach smoothly. The crimson gem began to dissolve and release an incredible amount of spiritual energy that began to burn his innards. Whoosh! Li Tianming tried to exhale, sending a gout of flame into the air, along with lots of fire-type spiritual energy. Don't puke here, you're wasting it. The chick looked at him with disdain. Li Tianming lowered his head and took a good look at his torso that had since erupted into flames. Could this have been a dream? It clearly wasn't, so just what kind of monster did he turn into? But one thing was for certain. Just like the eternal infernal phoenix, he too was now capable of consuming spirit ores. Direct refinement of an identical crimson gem would only provide around a third of the spiritual energy as compared to eating it raw. The little chick explained. In addition, the absorption process is way easier as well. You only need to gather the spiritual energy at your abdomen area and refine it using the Eternal Infernal Codex. That will directly convert the energy into beast ki that's stored in your beast vein. As for me, if I get enough spirit gems, I can probably cultivate way faster. Li Tianming realized that this was the reason why the little chick could keep eating without ever being full. It was actually using the Eternal Infernal Codex to convert the energy into beast ki. This way, both of them were storing a substantial amount of beast ki. For anyone who happened to walk past the dilapidated courtyard, this would be quite the bizarre sight. A man and a little chick, sitting together and casually chatting while snacking on gems. Oh, and they were also on fire. Hey, how much do you know about the primordial chaos beasts and your origin? Li Tianming even managed to find some alcohol to share with the little chick. I'm not trying to hide anything, but I don't know more than you do. The moment I opened my eyes, I knew that I am the eternal infernal phoenix, one of the primordial chaos beasts and nothing else. The little chick flopped over onto the stone table, clearly drunk. I remember seeing a huge black hand. Li Tianming tried his best to recall. You had that dream too? The little chick jumped up in shock, gazing at Li Tianming. You too? Naturally. I've been seeing that before I was even born. My guess is that I used to be a creature powerful enough to devour suns, till I was hunted and killed by that hand, said the little chick. For some reason, right before I died, I got a second chance by becoming your life-bound beast, thereby surviving in an unexpected way. Well, do you know of any methods that can quickly recover your strength and also elevate me to your level as well? Li Tianming asked. I don't know. All that I know is that limitless potential is hidden in my blood, but I'll need a lot of opportunities to figure them out. The little chick could hardly be considered strong. After all, it was just in the third-level beast vein stage like himself. But if it could release its full potential, it would definitely shock the world. Symbiotic cultivation allows us to become stronger together. That's surely one of the opportunities, Li Tianming analyzed. True, but I require a lot more resources as well. For example, I can tell from a single look that by eating these spirit ores, I can get stronger. Their effects, however, are limited. There's definitely something better out there, I know it. When hunted by the hand, the little chick had chosen to change its way of living, and this had locked out much of the potential hidden within its blood. The real question here was, how do they overcome these and bring it back to its former glory? By then, the duo had finished all 300 crimson gems. We did it! 4th level beast vein. The spiritual energy from the 300 crimson orbs had helped the pair make a breakthrough to a new level. Even at the 4th level, the quality of this beast ki is no doubt akin to normal 6th level beast ki. Li Tianming exclaimed at the unreasonable strength of the primordial chaos beast's bloodline. Of course, this was just the beginning. For the few days leading up to the selection, Li Tianming would focus on cultivation. Whether he could return to the institute for his revenge and to find a way to prolong his mother's life or not would all depend on that fateful day. And most importantly, he would prove to the people of Flame Haven that he, Li Tianming, had risen from the ashes, reborn as a phoenix. Day 9. Having established the symbiotic cultivation system with the little chick, Li Tianming had made multiple breakthroughs. Therefore, Li Tianming spent the past few days focused on his foundations and also practiced some of the battle arts that he had learned 3 years ago. Night had fallen. The little chick was in a deep slumber on his chest, and Li Tianming himself was also beginning to doze off on his bed. Amidst his sleep, Li Tianming felt a sudden surge of pain through his left arm. Li Tianming broke out into cold sweat. Is someone trying to chop off my arm? Chapter 7, Mysterious Black Arm. Li Tianming sat up hurriedly, sending the little chick, who was snoozing on top of him, tumbling to the ground. What's going on? He couldn't see anyone trying to hack off his hand in the dim candlelight, but he could see something else terrifying. Starting from his fingers, his entire arm skin was beginning to blacken. The encroaching darkness began to engulf his arm at a breakneck pace as he woke up, turning his left arm into a blackness that rivaled night itself. Horror gripped him as an eerie, prickling pain, one that reminded him of innumerable ants crawling on it, began to emanate from his left arm. What the hell? He was utterly disturbed to see the wriggling flesh reform into black scales. The scales were exquisite and orderly, each a perfect hexagon. A frightening aura began to pulse outwards from his left arm, and the feeling his arm no longer belonged to him assailed Li Tianming. There were no words that could adequately describe the horrible aura emanating outwards. But at the very least, it was one that belonged to a supreme being, one that all life could only prostrate and tremble in front of. The metamorphosis didn't just end there. His fingernails began to transform into red talons, turning his left hand into a monstrous claw. The fingernail-turned talons were scarlet and sharp, giving off the impression that skin and flesh would flay at the slightest brush. Am I still dreaming? Li Tianming wasn't quite sure whether he should laugh or cry. His arm was no longer hurting, and more importantly, he could feel that his arm was now capable of harnessing far more strength than the rest of his body. However, the increase in strength was just the tip of the iceberg. His left arm had undergone some fundamental changes, and evolution into a higher organism could barely begin to describe it. That said, the left arm's unique aura and blood had already mixed with the rest of the body without anything untoward happening. Then, the nightmare fuel continued. A red line formed on his palm as Li Tianming opened his hand, revealing a glistening, bloody crimson eye that looked right back at him. The fright he'd expected to feel, however, eluded him. Seeing an alarmed Li Tianming looking at him had dulled whatever fear he'd expected to feel. In fact, he was beginning to feel that the him being looked at was the eye itself. It was a strange feeling, all right. Li Tianming stared at the claw and the eye, while the eye stared back at and alarmed him. A moment passed, then another, and he suddenly understood what was going on. So, this new eye is mine. He was able to see through two different perspectives, which somehow worked together through some strange method. There didn't seem to be any downsides apart from making his head a little more chaotic. He pointed his palm behind his back, and sure enough, he could see behind him. He stuck it into his pants, and he could see his leg. So, Li Tianming, what are you doing? He suddenly heard. Nothing much. No need to hide. Sticking your hand into your pants and panting. So many possibilities. Young people really need to learn to do it in moderation. The little chick snorted. Li Tianming was startled. How could something the size of his palm contain so much lewdness? See mere, you. Li Tianming grabbed him. Naturally, he used his right hand. No, stop, I'm not your chick, the little chick shrieked. Take a look, what is this? Li Tianming revealed his black, scaly arm. In the palm of the beast claw, a bloody red eye was looking at the little chick with schadenfreude. Ah! Ghost! The little chick jumped up a meter in fright, its feathers quivering madly as it teetered on the edge of consciousness. With a jolt, Li Tianming realized that this arm was identical to the giant black hand he had seen in the dream when the little chick was born. He had been too shocked then to pay attention to if that hand had had an eye, but these black, hexagonal scales were definitely there. That hand. The little chick realized the black arm's aura was making it tremble on an instinctive level. I think so too. What happened? The little chick asked seriously. Not sure. It suddenly changed. My guess is that you didn't escape your foe, and he's come knocking. Fudge, the little chick cursed, before staring blankly at the black arm. Truthfully, the two of them seemed to lack the qualifications to know the full truth. Who was the black arm? Why did the black arm chase it down? Why was it life-bound to Li Tianming? Why did Li Tianming's arm metamorphosize into that black arm? Guesswork alone wouldn't answer these questions. No need to worry. If I were your foe, I'll definitely give you a satisfying end. Like, we'll first go on an excursion up a mountain, pick some mushrooms, and then prepare mushroom chicken stew together. How does that sound? Li Tianming grinned, unable to repress his mirth any longer. Is that why you were sticking your hand down your pants? The little chick asked, disdain ruffling up its feathers. Well, it's still a better sight than a certain someone attacking a male flaming hawk. Shut it. The little chick shot up, and pecked at Li Tianming. Despite its diminutive figure, the power behind the peck wasn't anything to laugh at. Sparks flew as Li Tianming blocked with his left hand. I guess we're at a net positive? Probably. It seems the arm is nigh invulnerable. Li Tianming examined the hexagonal scales under the candle light. He could indeed feel a strength that surpassed himself when he clenched his fist. In the end, he used some white cloth to wrap up the left arm before changing to a new set of clothes. At the same time, he put on a glove. Now, his entire arm was effectively hidden. Otherwise, whoever saw it would definitely take him for a monster. The little chick accepted this development as well. As a lazy chick, it made sense to adopt a wait-and-see approach to incomprehensible occurrences. Maybe I have some connection to the giant black hand. Li Tianming pondered, thinking of that giant black hand that had assaulted the eternal infernal phoenix. Its origin may be uncertain, but it'll give me additional chances for tomorrow's selection. With breakthroughs in his cultivation, as well as the black arm, Li Tianming began to devote the remaining time to practicing old battle arts and ensuring his combat readiness. He had quite a few battle arts, having once reached the spirit source stage. Battle arts had two types. Martial arts, that were practiced by beastmasters, and bestial arts, which were practiced by life-bound beasts. They were synergistic in nature, and only when executed in tandem could they display their full might. As their cultivation increased, beastmasters and life-bound beasts would have access to more and more cooperative abilities, and battle arts were one of them. Wild beasts were incapable of learning bestial arts. Battle arts were divided into 5 ranks of beast, source, unity, heavenly, saint, based on their power and complexity. Beast-ranked bestial arts were the most basic and were suitable for life-bound beasts in the beast vein stage. They were then further divided into basic, intermediate, and advanced. Of course, extraordinary cases existed in the form of supreme beast-ranked arts, which would allow one to dominate their peers in the beast vein stage. Following that were source-ranked battle arts which were suitable for spirit source stage beastmasters. Supposedly, some beast vein beastmasters could grasp source-ranked arts. While Li Tianming may have fallen from spirit source, he still had his familiarity with his old battle arts. It was only the little chick who had to master the bestial arts portion. Still, that fellow was ridiculously talented. Battle arts that might have spent much effort to learn with Li Tianming, were easily picked up by the little chick. These past few days, they had both reached mastery of many battle arts. Tomorrow is the day. Li Tianming clenched his fists, his eyes ablaze with passion in the dark night. Chapter 8, The Star of Zephyr Square. Against the backdrop of the rising sun, the fateful day finally arrived. The entire city was excited for the governor's marriage, especially since the bride was going to be his first wife. Illuminated with festive colors, music could be heard throughout the city. The Flame Yellow Science Institute's election will be held today at the governor's place. It'll occur immediately after the wedding ceremony. The governor wants to further liven up the occasion by letting the guests spectate the selection. Have you heard? The governor is going to officially anoint young Master Li Zifeng as the heir of the city after he gets the Flame Yellow Order. What a happy day for Flame Haven. At dawn, Li Tianming had already brought Wei Jing into the courtyard for her to enjoy the warmth of the morning sun. She knew that today was going to be a special day. Mother, it's about time I left. After he obtained the flame yellow order, he would take her away from this place that broke her heart. Be on your way then. Wei Jing squinted under the bright sunlight, but it had also brought out a faint radiance from her white hair. Aren't you going to impart some words of encouragement? Perhaps, some chicken soup for the soul. Li Tianming smiled. Chicken soup? What chicken soup? The little chick leapt off his head, its tense appearance bringing chuckles to both mother and son. Judging from the relaxed tone of the conversation, it seemed that Li Tianming definitely didn't appear nervous about the battle ahead. Go ahead, you should be back after I take a short nap, Wei Jing said gently. All right. Li Tianming skillfully tidied her white hair, patting her shoulders lightly before leaving the courtyard. As the courtyard gate closed, a single tear droplet crossed Wei Jing's smiling face. It was a tear that didn't embody sorrow or worries, but instead hope for the future. No one could have ever imagined the amount of dignity that she had lost in Flame Haven. It was the place where her youth and dreams were buried. However, today, at this very place, she wished for her most beloved son to take everything back for them. Today, the governor's manor stood out like a beauty who had dressed herself up. It was brimming with various activities that brought joy and laughter to the place. It was said that not only were the rich and famous of Flame Haven present, but also many distinguished guests from other cities, including even experts from the capital, Ignis Ballis. As one of the top experts of Vermilion Bird's southern borders, Li Yanfen definitely had both reputation and ability, which was further enhanced with the observation that the man seemed to improve with every passing year. Ever since he got in touch with Lightning Manor, word on the grapevine was that Li Yanfen's future was way beyond the limits of Flame Haven. For now, he was definitely one of the most famous people at the southern borders. Li Tianming had no interest in observing the wedding ceremony, choosing to enter the manor only when the ceremony was about to be concluded. The place chosen for today's event was known as Zephyr Tower. It was a magnificent building, with a huge parade square in front of it which was named Zephyr Square. Li Tianming had spent 16 years of his life training in this square. A crowd had gathered in front of Zephyr Tower and were waiting in anticipation. The governor had just finished his wedding, which meant that next up was the long-awaited selection. Li Suejiao snickered as she saw Li Tianming walk in. She knew that Li Tianming would be back to make a fool of himself. This was exactly what she wanted to see. As payback for the slap he had given her, Li Suejiao and her mother had not told anyone about Li Tianming's blood pact or his new life-bound beast. That new first lady sure is bewitching and seductive, it's no wonder Dad fell for her. She's going to cause a great deal of trouble for him. Li Suejiao gazed in the direction of Zephyr Tower, having already seen the bride. That said, her beauty was nothing in comparison to Li Zifeng and the Flame Yellow Order. Apparently, Dad has already contacted the teachers at Flame Yellow Science Institute with regards to second elder brother. He'll be taken care of the moment he enters the institute. I don't think you had this kind of treatment before, did you? Li Suejiao smirked. Just as she finished her sentence, a group of individuals emerged from the top of Zephyr Tower, seating themselves at a position where they had a bird's-eye view of the entire square. As the host for the day, Li Yanfen naturally occupied the middle seat. The man stood perfectly straight, his hair slightly streaked by white. He lowered himself onto his seat, his hands sturdily grasping the armrest. Even when simply seated, however, he released an intimidating aura which silenced Zephyr Square. Despite his more than humble background, Li Yanfen was a prodigy ever since he was young, having needed to start from scratch, clawing his way to his current position. As the governor of Flame Haven, legendary tales of his youth continued to be told and retold throughout the city. Beside him, a lady dressed in red gracefully settled in. While she lacked the kind of aura Li Yanfen possessed, she was no doubt the center of attention. Li Suejiao's claim that the lady was stunning could not have been more accurate. The lady was dressed in a scarlet silk dress with a collar reaching all the way to her chest, a seductive figure that teenage girls could never compare to. Her cheeks were hibiscus-like, her brows like willow, her skin like snow, and her cherry-like eyes seemed capable of arousing all of one's desires. Her black hair was tied up into a bun, while the pieces of jewelry pinned inside glistened under the sun. Her rosy lips, tilted at an angle, seemed to announce to the world that the governor's manor already belonged to her. She was Li Yanfan's bride, the new first wife, Lu Qing of Lightning Manor. Even if there were elites among the guests that matched Li Yanfan in status, or if all of his other wives and concubines were gathered, it was undeniable that no one was as attention-grabbing as the two. This was especially true for the belle, a seductive, irresistible figure for all the teenagers in the square. Even Li Tianming had to agree that her charm was enough to make most people lose their mind over her, but just the thought of her being from Lightning Manor was enough to elicit disgust. Their arrival suggested that the selection was about to soon begin. Yanfan, just one look tells me that Xifeng doesn't have much competition in Flame Haven. Lu Qing's voice was soft and sweet. It's good enough for him to have developed this much in Flame Haven, replied Li Yanfan. I heard that you had another son who also went to the institute and even dared to offend a little monster from Lightning Manor. Lu Qing questioned. Don't concern yourself with him, he's already crippled. Li Yanfan didn't appear like he wanted to talk about this topic. Oh, I see. Lu Qing smiled. Being the center of attention, Li Yanfan proceeded to wave his hand. Amidst a rain of applause, someone walked out and announced, "The Flame Yellow Science Institute selection has officially begun. My turn." The moment the selection started, the first to step foot onto the Zephyr Square was a striking teenager. Look, it's young Master Xifeng. As Flammehaven's most reputable young genius, everyone knew who Li Xifeng was. It was said that Li Xifeng possessed an arrogant personality and enjoyed being in the limelight, and this was immediately evident. With the gazes of everyone on him, Li Xifeng summoned his purple-eyed bright bird from his life-bound space. The purple-eyed bright bird, enveloped by violet flame, stood side by side with its master. The valor that exuded from the pair, and especially the murderous look from the purple-eyed bright bird, was enough to make most of the audience flinch. Who dares to challenge me? You can take turns. Li Xifeng did a sweeping scan of the area, his enthusiasm and fighting spirit clearly visible. From Zephyr Tower, Li Yanfan could hear many words of praise. Governor Li, your son must be a real hero, to have the guts to be the first one in the ring. Look at that purple-eyed bright bird. He really did receive good genes from the governor. A brief smile flitted onto Li Yanfan's face. Xifeng has improved quite a lot recently and is way more competent than peers his age, so of course he can afford to be the first on the stage. Ah yes, a lot stronger than the previous one too, an elder exclaimed. You mean Li Tianming? It's a darn shame, another replied. Li Yanfan didn't want to hear them discussing Li Tianming. After all, they had quite a few guests from Lightning Manor, but it seemed that there were always fools wherever you went. Don't talk about people that's no longer around. Li Yanfan clearly wasn't happy about this. This was enough to silence the chatter. After all, these people have all heard of how Li Yanfan divorced Wei Jing and abandoned Li Tianming, chasing them out from the manor. And with that, Flame Haven had ridden itself of that joke. As they spoke, someone had already stepped onto the stage and challenged Li Xifeng. It was a battle between the Beastmasters and their life-bound beasts. The challenger was named Du Yong, his life-bound beast being an azure gale wolf. As the wolf stood before the purple-eyed bright bird, everyone knew that the match was going to be awfully one-sided. As expected, Li Xifeng didn't even have to lift a finger, as his life-bound beast burned the opposing pair to a crisp before tossing them off the stage. Weaklings. Utterly useless. I want more. Li Xifeng didn't even try hiding his arrogance. Furthermore, his methods were violent. He intended to injure his opponents as much as was permissible. This was to discourage other participants from challenging him and thus allowing him to obtain the Flame Yellow Order in the shortest time possible. Another challenger approached the stage, only to be defeated yet again by just the purple-eyed bright bird. This was the potential of his 5-star life-bound beast. In general, people with 5-star life-bound beasts would easily be considered a genius in Vermilion Bird. Any more challengers? Li Zifeng was on a hot streak, eliminating over 10 opponents in a clean and swift manner. Even if the subsequent challengers were more threatening, they were still all no match for him. Li Zifeng must be at the 7th level of Beast Vein stage. Given his strength, it seems like it. 4 years ago, when Li Tianming received the Flame Yellow Order, he was only at the 6th. No wonder the governor likes Li Zifeng better. 7th level of the Beast Vein stage is a guaranteed ticket to Flame Yellow Science Institute. Look. Can you see the governor smiling? Such words began to be spoken more and more as Li Zifeng defeated over 30 people in a row. By now, it was apparent that Li Zifeng was indeed a genius. Additionally, none of the challengers appeared to even pose the slightest threat to Li Zifeng. His outstanding performance definitely made Li Yanfen feel proud. Another hour passed, with Li Zifeng defeating all his challengers. No one else dared to approach him. What unprecedented talent! Only youths with such an aptitude are worthy of becoming the heir of Flame Haven. While he does have a bit of a temper, it is undeniable that Li Zifeng inherited his father's gifts. For a while, there was nothing but praise for Li Zifeng. It was apparent that he was the future of Flame Haven. "Father, there are no more challengers, I have won." Li Zifeng was satisfied with this result and looked up at Zephyr Tower with anticipation. Once he saw Li Yanfen smile, he knew that it was settled. Li Yanfen suddenly rose from his seat and with a quick leap, he had landed right in front of Li Zifeng. It was a casual jump, but the pressure from his presence alone was comparable to that of a terrifying beast, and it brought even the purple-eyed bright bird's head to the ground. Could it be that he had the Flame Yellow Order in his hand? The selection is hereby over. Young Master Zifeng shall be going to the Flame Yellow Science Institute. Chapter 9, Twisting a Knife into His Wound. Father! Li Zifeng had never been this excited before. "Well done," Li Yanfen praised. "It's because you guided me well, Father," Li Zifeng hurriedly replied. The time had arrived for Li Yanfen to announce the results to the world. Li Yanfen turned to face the citizens of Flame Haven, to announce solemnly, "From this day on, Li Zifeng shall be the heir of Flame Haven. You may have done well today, but keep in mind not to be full of yourself. You have a bright future ahead, and remember to be cautious with every step you take." Li Yanfen's face glowed with pride, a rare sight. "Congratulations, Governor. Congratulations, young master. What a happy day for Flame Haven. Our governor has gotten married and the young master was made the heir. He'll also be going to the Flame Yellow Science Institute." The captain of the Imperial Guards, Zhao Ding, cheered madly, and the audience began to follow suit. While everyone had their eyes on Li Yanfen, an unassuming young man dressed in white suddenly made his way onto Zephyr Square. "Li Tianming? What is he doing there?" Most of the audience recognized that figure, and were shocked by this person's arrival. After all, this was not a place for the shame of Flame Haven to show up at, especially during a time when he was just removed as the heir, with his own brother inheriting it. What on earth is he doing here? Is he a fool? Well, what would you expect from someone like him? The governor must be fuming. It's his wedding day today. Fortunately, he didn't bring his sickly mother with him. Someone just chase him out of here already. From the crowd's perspective, Li Tianming was just someone who had lost his mind over being removed as the heir. But they underestimated Li Tianming. He was never there for the throne, nor did he have any interest left in the entirety of Flame Haven. As Li Tianming lifted his head, Li Yanfen had already turned towards him, squinting at him. A terrifying aura engulfed him a moment later. To him, Li Yanfen felt like a giant capable of reaching the sun, judging him from up high. If this happened 10 days ago, Li Tianming would probably be left trembling on the floor, barely able to move. But not now. He was the Beastmaster of a primordial chaos beast. No matter how strong his opponent was, the dignity running in his blood would not let him admit defeat there. Even if every step towards Li Yanfen felt like it was using up all his energy, he still managed to make it in front of Li Yanfen. Li Tianming? You must be crazy. Someone, chase him away, this is no place for beggars. Li Zifeng couldn't hide the disgust on his face. In fact, he would have forgotten all about this elder brother if not for his unexpected appearance. Quite a few guards gathered around them, ready to carry out the young master's order. However, Li Yanfen waved his hand, signaling the guards to stand back. Tianming, this is not the place for you to be at. You should focus on resting at home. As the elder brother, you can always support his decisions, said Li Yanfen. Zifeng has done well, and he certainly has the talent for cultivation, more talented than I used to be. But before he gets the Flame Yellow Order, I would like to give him one last challenge, Li Tianming said, his mind far from the hysterical state the others imagined him to be in. The father and son's conversation was seemingly amicable, both choosing to hide their aggression and hatred. After all, it was an important day, and they were distinguished across the nation, so they didn't want to embarrass themselves. What are you playing at, Li Tianming? What challenge can a pile of trash like you even give me? Li Zifeng questioned. Why are you being so rude on an auspicious day like this? Are you scared you can't pass my challenge? Stop fooling around, go back and rest. Li Yanfen's patience was running dry by the time these words left his mouth. His expression, though calm, was betrayed by the anger raging in his eyes. I'm not joking. I've yet to reach the age of 20, which qualifies me to participate in this selection. The rules don't state that I am not allowed to contest for the Flame Yellow Order again even if I got it 4 years ago. Li Tianming said simply, causing a commotion in the crowd. That boy must have gone completely crazy after everything he's been through. Zhao Ding exclaimed. I supposed he probably didn't want to live anymore, and just wanted to use the last moments of his life to ruin the governor's reputation. What an ungrateful little brute. Did he forget who raised him? Whatever happened at the institute was because of his own lust. He can only blame himself. As the crowd chattered, most of them felt that Li Tianming had achieved the goal of making Li Yanfen feel uneasy. Everyone knew how much Li Yanfen cared about his own reputation. The only person that had a different reaction was Li Zifeng, who burst out laughing. Elder brother Tianming, you're already an ordinary person, and yet you still dare challenge me. Are you hoping that I'll give you a more honorable death? Well, do you accept my challenge then? Li Tianming asked. Of course. Remember to not make a fool of yourself on the Zephyr Square after being defeated, Li Zifeng said, before turning to Li Yanfen. Father, please don't worry. I will not kill him. I will chase him away after beating him. After all, it's me he's after, which means that it's only right for me to do the job. Don't overdo it, Li Yanfen replied, his expression placid. After all, how could someone with no more beast key and a dead life-bound beast defeat a 7th level beast vein Beastmaster? Having said that, he leaped back to Zephyr Tower without giving Li Tianming a second look, and explained to the guests there, it's a pity that you have to see my disgrace of a son. You might have heard stories about him before, and I'm really sad to say that he has shamed our family. It's all right, Governor Li, every family has their issues. This kid doesn't appreciate everything that you have done for him, and even dares to cause problems for you. At this juncture, there's not much more you can do as a parent, said one of the big shots from Ignis Ballis. Thankfully, Zifeng will make our family proud. Just let Zifeng handle this and teach Tianming a lesson, said Madame Mo, Li Yanfen's second wife. Lu Cheng. Li Yanfen returned to his seat and found his bride staring at the Zephyr Square curiously. Yanfen, even after losing his life-bound beast, this elder son of yours is still calm and composed. He is not as disgraceful as expected. Lu Cheng's eyes sparkled with interest. He's just faking. I know him well enough. Li Yanfen frowned. Don't be angry about this, just treat it as a show. Everyone knows what kind of acts this boy has committed before. No one will blame you for that, Lu Cheng comforted him. You really understand me best. Li Yanfen had already turned his attention to the square. Sure enough, the brothers were already facing each other, both ready for a fight. Li Tianming, you're nowhere close to what you were 4 years ago. This is just letting me twist the knife in your wound. With a smirk, Li Zifeng picked up his pace and dashed towards Li Tianming. Chapter 10, Flame Haven Shall Tremble. What did Li Zifeng have to fear? He was already at 7th level Beast Vein, even stronger than Li Tianming had been 4 years ago. He instantly appeared behind Li Tianming, intending to knock him out by striking his foe's nape with a well-placed palm. They no longer belonged to the same world. Further words would just be a waste of breath. Father will definitely appreciate my decisiveness. The crowd watched with bated breath as his attack landed. A solid thump rang out as Li Tianming suddenly raised his left arm to block the blow. Under normal circumstances, Li Tianming's left arm would have shattered. However, contrary to everyone's expectations, Li Zifeng stumbled back several steps, clutching a trembling right arm. The hand he'd used to attack was bright red, and was beginning to turn slightly purple. You wrapped your hand up in a layer of metal. Li Zifeng clenched his teeth as he hissed. It was your hand that was too weak, Li Tianming replied. Trying to act all mysterious. Li Zifeng's anxiousness after failing to show off was beginning to show, but that didn't stop him from being curious. Why can I still feel beast ki from you? Didn't you lose it all? I simply used a blood pact and found another life-bound beast. How else could I test you? You don't actually think I came here to die a glorious death, right? Li Tianming definitely had to claim he had used a blood pact. Blood pacts had low success rates of 1 in 10,000. Many Beastmasters who had lost their beasts would use it, only to end in abject failure. Amazing. Well, why not show off your new life-bound beast? You're so confident. Could it be 6 star? Or even 7, Li Zifeng guffawed. Li Tianming didn't waste words, choosing to summon his eternal infernal phoenix instead. The little chick leapt onto Li Tianming's head as it appeared, showering its surroundings with a fierce glare. The entire manor went deathly still for just a moment, before a torrent of laughter rained from all sides. In front of the purple-eyed bright bird, it could only be cute, no matter how fierce it acted. What an absolutely adorable chick. That's a life-bound beast? Ahahaha. Every person broke down laughing, regardless of how high their position was. Li Tianming really is filial. He must have come today to make the city lord's marriage more lively in the capacity of a comedian. We misunderstood him. He's turned over a new leaf, and plans to make a living as a comedian from now on. Li Zifeng was stunned as he stared wide-eyed at the little chick attempting to act tough, before laughing to the point of pulling a muscle. Even his bright bird revealed a human-like smile. Brother Tianming. That chick isn't even enough to fill a single dish, and yet you used it as a life-bound beast. Li Zifeng roared with laughter. But Li Tianming and the little chick were both solemn. The little chick's eyes turned bloodshot. How dare you look down on your grandpappy, you nugget? The little chick transformed into a bright yellow blur that assaulted Li Zifeng. Its arrival was too abrupt. Li Zifeng was still in the midst of laughing when his instincts screamed with danger. A moment later, Li Zifeng was violently pounded into the ground as what felt like a giant house slammed into him. His stomach had been scorched black, and a bloody gash glimmered ominously at the center. Yuck! This flesh is sour. The next moment, a little chick was back on Li Tianming's head, now with an additional strip of flesh in its beak. Anyone with 2 brain cells could tell it was from Li Zifeng. Li Zifeng grimaced. "You're asking for it?" The little chick's sudden violence had cast a chilly silence upon the area, and the audience's smiles began to stiffen. Li Tianming shook his head. "Ah, my boy Zifeng. You're too undisciplined. Arrogant, brash, and lacking compassion. If someone refuses to teach you well, it falls to me to do it. You? With what, that 1-star life-bound beast of yours?" Li Zifeng and the purple-eyed Brightbird exchanged a look, before rushing at the opposing pair. Li Tianming and the little chick communicated telepathically. "Sure, our eternal infernal beast key is stronger than his, but it's not enough to overcome the gap of 3 levels. He has more quantity than us. Unfortunately, his attribute just so happens to be fire." Fire immunity was the reason Li Tianming dared to challenge Li Zifeng, even with a gap of 3 levels. Then cut the crap. Charge. The little chick's blood was already boiling. It was a fighting junkie, and its favorite hobby was taking on stronger existences than it. This Brightbird was perfect. "Trashy birdie, come on and accept Grandpappy's love," it hooted. Some people chuckled out loud. They hadn't expected the little chick to talk like a parrot. Usually, life-bound beasts could only speak with their Beastmaster. While the Brightbird couldn't speak, it still understood the little chick, flying into a rage at the chick's provocation. Extending its wings, it charged forward before Li Zifeng could say anything, its beady eyes focused on the little chick. Li Tianming targeted Li Zifeng as the purple-eyed Brightbird began to pursue the little chick. "Watch this." Li Tianming suddenly exploded with speed. His legs were so fast that they seemed like a mirage, and Li Zifeng, who was at the receiving end, began to feel something like demons shifting in and out of existence in his vicinity. This was the advanced beast-ranked battle art, Ghost Steps. It was more or less the best movement art among beast-ranked battle arts, and Li Tianming had spent half a year polishing it. A ghostly figure whizzed by. Li Tianming appeared in front of Li Zifeng as the latter's scalp began to tingle, punching outwards at his unnerved foe. Dragon Mammoth Heavy Strike. It was a boxing art that was Li Tianming's signature move. Midas had been a metal-type life-bound beast, gifted in speed and power. This advanced beast-ranked art had been made just for him. Like its namesake, this fist was designed to explode with horrifying might and generate high-frequency shock waves, capable of reducing a victim's internal organs to mush. The Li Tianming of today didn't have the strength of a dragon or mammoth, but he had the even more powerful primordial chaos beast strength. Furthermore, it was his black left arm unleashing it now, which made it even fiercer than before. A mighty blow, backed up by incredible speed, lashed out at Li Zifeng. Li Zifeng narrowed his eyes. He could already sense the might behind the punch and calmly responded with his own advanced beast-ranked battle art, the Fiery Cloud Palm. The Fiery Cloud Palm wasn't bad. It created a fiery cloud around the palm that could be used to guard, confuse, or even to suppress the enemy. Concealed within the fiery cloud was power that could shake mountains and rivers. "Time to return to your kennel, you laughingstock," Li Zifeng said coolly, filled with utmost confidence in his thick beast ki. Palm and fist collided a moment later. A thud rang out, a sound that was swiftly followed by a gruesome crack. Piercing shrieks filled the air as Li Zifeng flew through the sky, landing headfirst in a daze, blood dripping out of his nose the whole time. Even scarier, one of his arms was twisted at an unnatural angle, the fingers covered completely in blood. Li Tianming. Li Zifeng lifted his head, grimacing in pain. He knew he had completely been humiliated. The manor fell silent, stunned by this spectacle. Chapter 11, Forgive me, brother. Atop Zephyr Tower, those seated stood up in shock. Their eyes were glued to Zephyr Square, looks of disbelief written across their faces. How could that be? Didn't Li Tianming lose all his beast ki? 3 years, that's enough to end any Beastmaster's career. But Zifeng is 7th level beast vein. Did Li Tianming use some kind of dirty trick? Madame Mo had a stern look on her face. Li Tianming, the joke of Flame Haven, the boy that everyone thought would be gone for good, had returned with power that matched Li Zifeng's. So his appearance today really wasn't a joke. Probably the only one whose jaw didn't drop was Madame Huang, who had already seen what Li Tianming was capable of beforehand. Even Li Suejiao couldn't hide her surprise. After all, she wanted her second brother to teach Li Tianming a lesson on her behalf, but the tables had turned. Oh, interesting. He probably recovered a while ago and was hiding it the entire time. The corners of Lu Qing's lips curled upwards. He must have found a new life-bound beast to prevent the loss of his beast key. Too bad it is but a worthless one-star life-bound beast. He can never go beyond the beast vein stage. The chain of events threw Li Yanfen off guard as well, but he immediately managed to find an explanation for it. If Li Tianming had made use of sacrificial techniques to find a new life-bound beast the moment he returned to Flame Haven, then it was true that he could somewhat stop the dissipation of his beast key, thereby preserving a certain amount of strength. But the people of Flame Haven didn't understand the reason behind all these, as evidenced by how they gawked at the brothers. As a result, being the one with the lower hand, Li Zifeng was almost driven crazy. Malice twisted his face as Li Zifeng drew out a sword. It was a vicious steel sword, crafted with top-quality spirit ores and infused with the blood of life-bound beasts. These kinds of weapons were known as bestial weapons, and were far more powerful than regular weapons, especially in the hands of Beastmasters. On top of that, bestial weapons could also synergize with life-bound beasts. This blue steel sword has yet to drink your blood before. Li Zifeng pointed his sword at Li Tianming. He had underestimated his opponent, and he would not let that happen again. And my crimson blood dagger was never meant to drink the blood of my own brothers, but I guess there are always exceptions to everything. Li Tianming drew a scarlet dagger from his sleeve. It was about 15 centimeters long, with a blade the length of his finger. The entire body of the dagger was a bloody red, making it look like the fangs of a venomous snake. In terms of weapon quality, the crimson blood dagger was just as good as the blue steel sword. It had been Li Tianming's weapon for a long time, being able to kill in a single deadly blow. And yet, who could have imagined that the brothers would point at each other with real blades in hand, aiming for the other's life? Why did you come here to shame yourself? With your one-star life-bound beast, you are just some garbage stuck in beast vein. Once I get the flame yellow order, I will be so powerful that you'll grovel at my feet 3 years from now. As he spoke, Li Zifeng swung his blue steel sword, his steps suddenly increasing in speed. This was the intermediate beast-ranked battle art, the wind-riding steps, which greatly increased his agility. But even that paled in comparison to the sword arts he was using. As the sword danced in the air, it was clear that he was using the blazing tornado sword from the Li Manor, an advanced beast-ranked battle art. With the blazing tornado sword, Li Zifeng had created a gust of wind, the sword hidden within the gale as it swung towards Li Tianming. At the same time, the purple-eyed Brightbird had also used the bestial art of blazing tornado wings to sweep up a cyclone, its wings now like 2 giant knives that swept towards the chick. The battlefield was divided into 2, but both sides were just as exciting. Die for me! Li Zifeng screamed. His sword struck from multiple directions, stirring up a wave of flame that surrounded Li Tianming. A vortex of flame engulfed Li Tianming, its interior brimming with countless strands of sword ki that threatened to tear Li Tianming apart. This move was a true reflection of Li Zifeng's strength, as no one under the 7th level of the beast vein stage could possibly block it. The heat emanating from the tornado of flames alone was enough to burn most people to a crisp. Are you dead yet? Li Tianming. You're just a stray dog that should have died long ago, so stop haunting me. Li Zifeng was already in a state of frenzy. Confidence surged within him as he watched his blazing tornado sword swallow Li Tianming, which swiftly gave way to fear as he realized something. Where was Li Tianming? You are right, I am here to haunt you. Li Zifeng felt a chill run down his spine as a voice spoke from right beside his ears. He froze as hot metal rested on his neck, daring him to move an inch. By now, the audience could see that Li Tianming had already appeared behind Li Zifeng, his crimson blood dagger pressed right against Li Zifeng's throat. If he so willed it, Li Zifeng would have perished. In fact, Ghost Steps wasn't the only thing that got Li Tianming there. There was another trick up his sleeve that had decided his fate. It was a Supreme Beast-ranked battle art, the Bloody Soul Hunt. It was the strongest battle art that Li Tianming practiced, and was meant to be used with the Crimson Blood Dagger. As the pinnacle of beast-ranked battle arts, few had succeeded in mastering it. It wasn't an offensive battle art, but a cross between a movement art and assassination art. Fast. Precise. The essence was to strike like lightning at the perfect instant to bring death to its opponents. It might not appear much, but Li Tianming had to practice it thousands of times a day just to achieve the effect of a one-shot kill. PSSS. Without hesitation, Li Tianming sliced the dagger across Li Zifeng's arms, causing blood to spurt out. AHH. Beads of sweat popped out of Li Zifeng's forehead as he trembled uncontrollably. Zifeng, you shall pay for all your insults and your mockery. Now take this. Li Tianming's voice was like a demon's, and with each sentence, the crimson blood dagger drew a new line on Li Zifeng's body, the latter shrieking in pain the entire time. All the acts you have done, all the crimes you have committed, do you really think no one knew about them? They just didn't dare to touch you because you had Li Yanfen as your backer. As a matter of fact, Li Tianming wanted to teach Li Zifeng a lesson a long time ago. During the 3 years of his absence, there was no one controlling Li Zifeng, who went on to do whatever he wanted in Flame Haven. Despite committing a mountain of malicious deeds, his talent and family had enabled him to elude retribution. If your father is not going to teach you about basic manners, then I will do it. Just because you're the governor's son doesn't mean you can look down on others. This elder brother will today teach you the meaning of everyone is born equal. Today, I'll teach you how to spell karma. This / do you like it? With each sentence he said, Li Tianming landed a new / on Li Zifeng, slashes that were intended to cause great pain without creating lethal wounds. In total, he lashed out 6 times on his limbs and butt cheeks. Forgive me, brother, I learned my lesson, please release me. Dad, Mom, help me. Li Zifeng howled miserably, his face paler than paper. His blue steel sword had long fallen from his hands, completing a picture of a one-sided defeat. No one possibly expected this battle to be so one-sided. The image of the youth standing on the stage had already created a lasting image in everybody's mind, but that wasn't all. Even more terrifying, the sight of a blood-soaked huge bird dropping on the ground as Li Zifeng capitulated. It was none other than the purple-eyed bright bird. As the purple-eyed bright bird struggled feebly, a little chick landed beside it, its mouth stuffed with feathers. You stupid stinking bird, do you know how to take a shower? Even your feathers are so damn smelly. The little chick shuddered as it spat out the feathers in its mouth, gagging and dry heaving the entire time. How could a cute little thing like this gravely injure the purple-eyed bright bird over 10 times its size? Was it even possible for a 1-star life-bound beast? An irritated Li Tianming, a blood-stained crimson blood dagger, and a grumbling little chick. The governor's manner sank into an unprecedented, awed silence from their very presence. Chapter 12, You're Not Worthy. Wasn't he crippled? It was Li Zifeng who looked like the real cripple here. What a horrific loss. He's just crying and crying. Is it that painful? To be honest, young Master Zifeng has always been a bully. Being beaten like this can kinda be considered poetic justice. Many soft discussions started. Li Zifeng's reputation immediately came crashing down. There were some words that no one would dare to voice out loud, but kicking someone when they were down was something that came naturally to the audience. Within moments, Li Zifeng's conduct in the last 3 years was brought to light. Now, everyone was waiting for Li Yanfan's response. And as Li Zifeng expected, his father got up after the 6 strikes. "Milord, quickly save Zifeng, then execute this rebel." Madame Emma wailed. She wanted to step forward herself, but she didn't dare to. Everyone was watching Li Yanfan. This was supposed to be his joyous occasion, and this had to be a huge slap in his face, especially when it came to the reputation-conscious Li Yanfan. Furthermore, Zephyr Tower was filled with many dignitaries as well. They may not say anything to his face, but they would definitely ridicule him behind his back after this. Li Tianming could feel a gaze boring at him, and he released Li Zifeng, who crumpled over at his feet. "Dad, Mom, save me." Li Zifeng crawled away like a dog, scrambling off the stage without even caring about his purple-eyed bright bird. "Mother, this was for you." This time, it was all to stick up for her, as well as himself. For his lost dignity, for the justice he deserved. Wei Jing's dignity had been cast aside with the divorce letter, while Li Tianming's had been lost for 3 years. Li Tianming was prepared to crush anything in his way, consequences be damned. Today, he would rampage as much as he wanted. He was already displaying the beginnings of greatness. This day would definitely be left in the annals of Flamehaven history. Li Tianming lifted his head, meeting his father's gaze by chance. The latter's eyes were grim, evident from his clenched, twitching fist, a last-ditch attempt to control his emotions. Li Tianming may have pissed him off, but he was still a man with a city under him. His dignity was at stake. "An excellent performance, Tianming. It pleases me to see your perseverance, despite the past 3 years, Li Yanfan said blandly. "Why, thank you." The exchange seemed amicable on the surface, but was in truth fraught with tension. In truth, Li Tianming had told Li Yanfan how he had been framed when he returned from Ignis Follies. However, the silent reply he received made him realize that his father feared Lightning Manor too much to offend them. At that moment, Li Tianming had been incredibly disappointed. Even though he had the high and lofty position of commanding Flamehaven, he chose to give up Li Tianming in the face of the colossal Lightning Manor, while tossing aside his mother as an afterthought. That divorce letter of his had been his most vicious move yet, and Li Tianming had carved each and every word into his memory. Where was the mutual respect between husband and wife, and why was it instead a knife in the back? The two might be father and son in blood, but Li Tianming didn't want to be involved with this man anymore. "So, what were you aiming for by defeating Zifeng?" Li Yanfan didn't want to shed all pretense of cordiality here, so he adopted a gentle tone to maintain a pretense of equal treatment. But no one brought that story. Everyone knew that Li Yanfan was about to marry someone from Lightning Manor, an organization that Li Tianming had a blood feud with. Li Yanfan's concerns with his reputation was the only thing stopping him from killing his son on the spot. "The Flame Yellow Order, as well as for you to escort me out of Flamehaven just like 4 years ago. Just do it again. Henceforth, I shall never step a foot into Flamehaven again." Li Tianming's words were clear and resolute. The purpose of this was for his dignity, as he didn't want that divorce letter to force his mother and him to leave the city like homeless dogs. His words left everyone shocked. Didn't he withdraw from the Flame Yellow Science Institute himself as his cultivation regressed? And now he wants to go back. Why does he want to go back? He's the butt of their jokes there. Lin Xiaoting and Mu Qingqing are geniuses of Heaven's division, and are a gazillion times stronger than him. He's just asking to be embarrassed. But it's obvious that he doesn't want to stay here or repair his relationship with the governor. Yeah. Wanting the governor to send him off just seems to be a way to go with some dignity. It makes sense from his perspective. Everyone was waiting for Li Yanfan's decision. However, the man himself merely frowned. You just have a 1-star life-bound beast. Your current strength comes from what you trained in the past with Midas. The Beast Vein stage is your limit in life. Even if you do get the Flame Yellow Order, the Flame Yellow Science Institute is not going to accept you. That's not your problem. The order belongs to me, for I'm first place. Whatever follows, I'll deal with it myself. Since my position has been stripped, Sir Governor, our relations end here. No matter how I embarrass myself, it won't drag you in, said Li Tianming. This display of backbone by a youth, especially when talking to Li Yanfen, had garnered grudging respect from the audience. It seems like he's going to get what he wants. Everything this fellow did today really was outrageous. Actually, he does have quite the backbone. The mockery had ceased. Even if he was no longer a Flamehaven citizen, the jeering from now on would lessen greatly. Dad, the order is mine, mine. You can't let him have it. Li Zifeng struggled to his feet in a panic. Milord, since we're being ruthless anyway, why not go all the way and, Madame Emma whispered into his ear. Scram. Li Yanfen gave her a look, which quickly frightened Madame Emma into a corner. It seemed that under the public eye, Li Yanfen could only agree to the request. My Flame Yellow Order. And send us out of the city. Li Tianming stressed every word, each one landing like a hammer on the hearts of those watching. Li Tianming thought of his mother. She had to be still in the courtyard, unable to sleep as she stewed in her anxiousness. She might be pacing about to and fro. While she might have never said anything, she had once married into Flamehaven even more grandly than Lu Qing had. There was no way she would ever accept such a pathetic departure, especially at her twilight. Sir Governor. Li Tianming said one final time, his eyes burning as he stared at Li Yanfen. He found it laughable when he saw the unspoken thought of unfilial son written on his father's face. He saw the rage and humiliation playing across his features. What can you do no matter how angry you are? Li Tianming felt rather upbeat to see this reaction. Li Tianming had ruined this joyous occasion, leaving Li Yanfen with no choice but to swallow his anger. He couldn't toss aside his dignity as a father and governor in front of so many dignitaries. Remember well, Governor. You don't qualify to divorce her. Today, the only reason we're leaving is because you are not worthy of her. How embarrassing. Such conversations began to flow. Only Li Yanfen knew how it felt to be embarrassed so publicly. It was at this moment that a woman walked to his side and held onto Li Yanfen's arm. Lu Qing. She smiled gently at Li Tianming, her lips parted slightly and her eyes seeming to speak volumes. Tianming, it's not good for a young man to be so hot-tempered, Lu Qing said gently. Her beauty was not tarnished by a common baseness like so many others, and her words were a reflection of that. Elaborate, madam. Li Tianming didn't have a favorable impression of this woman, as she was from Lightning Manor. She smiled. What I mean is that there is still one more Flamehaven genius in the running for this selection. Her words confused everyone, Li Tianming included. Who else was there? Lu Qing herself? But she was over 20 and in the spirit source stage. Who else could it be? Part 1 of the series ends here. If you enjoyed it, please give us a like and subscribe so we can be motivated to make even better videos in the future.